takes the U.S. military about 15 hours to send weapons of war to Afghanistan. Elon Musk says he's going to be able to do it in about 1 hour. A 7,652-mile journey from Florida to Kabul using a SpaceX rocket that will get it there in just 60 minutes. We begin today with RT correspondent Alex Mihailovich.
It's a company built by eccentric billionaire Elon Musk, with the goal of reducing the cost of space transportation and eventually enabling the colonization of Mars. Oh, how times have changed. California-based SpaceX, which was founded in 2002, is increasingly moving into the war business. The latest, Musk is teaming up with the U.S. military to build a rocket which can deliver an 80-metric-ton payload to anywhere on the planet in an hour or less. Traveling at 7,500 miles per hour, military cargo could be delivered from Florida to Afghanistan in approximately 60 minutes. In the current scenario, a U.S. C-17 Globemaster transport plane, which costs $218 million, takes 15 hours to carry the goods the same distance, flying at a maximum speed of 590 miles per hour. The U.S. has a fleet of 233 of the huge aircraft, but some of the U.S. military would like to see them replaced with a supersonic alternative. U.S. Transportation Command's General Stephen Lyons made the announcement of the partnership with SpaceX and Texas-based aerospace firm XArc last week. Lyons said, "I can tell you, SpaceX is moving very, very rapidly in this area. I'm really excited about the team that's working with SpaceX." Although the plans for the project are in their early stages, proof-of-concept tests are scheduled to begin as early as next year. According to Space.com, currently SpaceX flights cost between $2 million and $90 million. Launches of the company's upcoming reusable Starship rockets are expected to cost as little as $2 million. SpaceX currently employs its reusable rockets to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. The company also sends satellites and other space tech into orbit for a number of private firms and governments. The proposed U.S. military rocket would be the first time SpaceX-built technology would attempt a landing on Earth with cargo on board. The rocket is not the company's only venture with the U.S. military. SpaceX signed a $149 million deal with the military's Space Development Agency to manufacture 4 missile-tracking satellites. And in August, it won 40% of a $1 billion agreement with the Department of Defense to launch new rockets for Space Force. For RT, I'm Alex Mihailovich.
Thanks so much, Alex. Joining us now is former Pentagon official Michael Maloof and former UK MP George Galloway. You know, there's a lot to talk about here when it comes to the politics and the branding and how much the brand of Elon Musk might be hurt by this. But before we do that, I think it behooves us to, Michael, talk a little bit about the impact militarily that SpaceX might have. I don't know anything about the military like you do. Obviously, you're an expert, but it does sound impressive to me if he can literally get that much cargo and that kind of payload to Afghanistan from Tampa, Florida in 60 minutes. Do you buy it?
I think it's quite feasible. It's going to be costly. It's probably going to be costing twice as much, but you can't stop progress. And it's from the military, like the examples that we learned from World War II and what have you, that was then applied to civilian uses today. And that's why we're enjoying the high technology world that we're in. This is experimental. It's going to take time. It's going to be costly initially. I think that the timing is going to be necessary. I think routine transport of military items is still going to be necessary on normal cargo aircraft, but for emergency purposes, it's going to be much more useful. The question is, how do you store it and be able to know what to carry and then launch, which is one of the concerns about this proposal. But if it's done in a way that it's meant to meet emergency situations, then I think it's quite feasible, and it can be done if you have the proper sites to land.
But Michael, let me come back to you with a notion that I'm sure a lot of folks are thinking about out there. Every time we hear in America, and it's not always us, sometimes it's the Russians, for example, comes up with some wonderful new development when it comes to the military. I mean, you can go all the way back to, you know, things like Nagasaki and Hiroshima as well. just because we have it doesn't mean somebody else is not going to either copy it or even perfect it or make it better, which makes us then have to do another one. I mean, if we're doing rockets now to get our weapons around the world, what's to stop some other country from suddenly creating their rocket? We're going to have rockets going everywhere, aren't we? Should we be concerned about that?
Well, I think it can be policed, and I think that it's something that's inevitable. Countries that are capable of that kind of technology and can afford it, it's going to go ahead and do it inevitably. And one generation of technology development leads to yet another. So this is inevitable. I know it's a new concept. That's why it's startling on the initially, but I think eventually it's going to be accepted. Look, we've benefited from wartime technologies. Look at radar. As I said, it's and Tang,
yeah, point well made.
and instant foods and what have you. We benefited from these kinds of militarily oriented things.
I get that. We cook our foods on microwaves now, and it was originally something that was developed in the military. Let's. Mr. Galloway, I can't help but wonder what you're probably wondering as well, which is here's a guy who people adore. This Elon Musk character, because he is holistic. He's worried about the future of the world. He sells electric cars. And look what he's doing now. Do you think that's going to affect his brand the way I think it might affect his brand? Should it?
Well, Peter Pan becomes Rambo, delivering weapons of war to Kabul. Incidentally, I thought that you were coming back from Kabul. At least that's what President Trump said. So I'm hoping that his rocket doesn't have to go to Kabul. And to address the point you just made, Rick, the other countries in the world don't have military bases all around the world. The United States has got 400 military bases around China alone. Heaven knows how many around Iran. Nobody else does that. Nobody else has that. It's only the United States that needs to deliver weapons of war thousands and thousands of miles away. But to address your precise point, this man who poses as a Boy Scout, a holistic, knit your own jumpers and knit your own brown rice, is now a merchant of death. He's a weapons guy. And you're right, other people do that, but they don't pretend to be the kind of fellow that Elon Musk at least poses as being. And I add one more point, Rick. He has a big habit of not delivering on time or at price. As you say, his companies very rarely, if ever, turn in a profit. So I wouldn't put all my weapons eggs in his basket if I was the Pentagon.
Can you be both, though, gentlemen? George, staying with you, can he be both? Can he be the good guy who makes electric cars and the guy who is now a military contractor, part of the military industrial complex? Or will people say, and will they be right in saying, no, sir, you have sold out?
I think people will turn away from him. That part of his constituency, if you like, that is green and holistic and loving the earth and hugging the trees are not going to like Elon Musk, the military industrial complex guy. I think it's a dichotomy that cannot easily be joined. It is either or, and I suspect a lot of people will say, no more Mr. Musk.
Do you, Michael, wonder whether this marriage will work? Because when I think of Elon Musk, I don't see a guy walking the halls of the Pentagon rubbing shoulders with the guys that you've spent a lot of your life with, these, buttoned-up military dudes who are generals and have lots of stars on their uniforms.
Well, he offers a technology that the military envisions is going to be useful to them. At the same time, it has a civilian application, and it can be moving cargo, civilian cargo for the future. It might have initial military purposes, but eventually we may be moving cargo like that for commercial purposes in the years to come. So I don't rule this strictly as a military thing, and in terms of purchasing his product, if people like it and it offers technology advancements and it's reasonably costed, then I think they're going to buy it, and I don't think that's going to be a deterrent. But with this thing, I think it's going to be expensive initially. But you got to begin somewhere.
Yeah, but if you're a vendor, you want to look for somebody to buy your product who pays on time and overpays. And I'll tell you what, I was just talking on the phone to my colleague Christy I, who's followed Elon Musk's career. She says he can't make money with his electric cars. He can't make money with most of his ideas. He's flopped in business in many, many ways. By doing this, he guarantees himself success. Right, George?
Well,
yeah, that might very well be right. Money doesn't talk. It swears, as Bob Dylan says. And I suppose the Pentagon swearing, the kind of money we're talking about here, will bring them over to the dark side. But of course, this application can be used for humanitarian purposes, getting aid to starving people, medicine to sick people, and so on. But we all three of us know that's not what it's going to be used for. This is the dark side. It's the military-industrial complex. The rocket man, Elon Musk. Who'd have thunk it?
Right. Hey, Michael, I know you wanted to get something in. I only got 10 or 15 seconds for you if you want to button up the conversation.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this is an innovative concept, and if he contracts with the Defense Department, he can be sure to make a profit because it will go into cost overruns, and he'll be sure to make a profit. That's all I'm saying. That's cynical.
Just the way it works. Thanks, gentlemen. Great conversation. Important conversation.